Alright guys, welcome back to Dice Throne. Here's how to play the Shadow Thief. So the Shadow Thief is a level 5 complexity, as you can see here. So talking about a very complex character, as you can see, there is a lot to unpack here. But the main thing about the Shadow Thief is this. Her dice symbols are kinda a little bit wonky here. We got 2 daggers, so if you roll a 1 or a 2, you get the dagger symbol. Roll 3 or 4, you get a bag symbol. 5, you get a card symbol. And then 6 is the shadow symbol. So the shadow symbol is exactly the same as the shadow's positive status effects. The main thing you gotta worry about the Shadow Thief is your CP dial. Now your CP dial in Dice Throne has a maximum of 15. So when you're playing this game, you start with 2 CP. The idea for the Shadow Thief is to get to 15 CP by either selling cards, and if you don't know, you can sell cards. Let's say you draw this card, if you sell it, you get 1 CP for selling cards. So obviously you want to sell as many cards as possible to get that CP total up. And there's other ways you can get your CP total up. So first of all, look at most of these abilities on the left side of the board here, grant CP. Example, Dagger Strike, if you roll a 3 or 4, you gain 1 CP. So not only do you deal damage with rolling 3 daggers, 4 daggers, or 5 daggers, but if you roll a 3 or a 5, you get CP as well. And then your small and large traits give you 3 CP before dealing your damage with them, so that's good to know. And then Pickpocket is just gaining CP no matter what. Because look, if you roll 2 4 or 5s, 3 or 4s, you gain 2 CP. 3 bags, you get 3 CP, and 4 bags, you get 4 CP, and if you roll a 6, you can steal up to 1 CP from a stolen opponent. So basically, if your opponent has 2 CP, you can take one of them, and you gain that one that you stole. So yeah, you want to use the left side of the board to gain your CP. Why do you want to do that? Well, very simple. Look at the small straight and large straight. If you get a small straight, then you deal half the amount of damage, half the amount of CP number you have is damage. So let's say you have 10 CP. Well, then you deal 5 CP with this attack. But so that's one way to do it. So if you have 15, then you round up. So that'd be half of 7.5 of 15, rounded up is 8. So you do 8 damage with this attack. But look at the large straight. You deal your CP as damage. So 15 combat points, you have 15. You deal 15 damage with a large straight. So 8 with a small, 15 with a large. So you want to use this side of the board to build up your CP. But that is not all. Then we have this side of the board. Look at this, 2 defensive rolls. Again, very complicated character. What you want to do with this side of the board is try and gain the Shadows token. And what does the Shadows token do? Well, the Shadows token means that you have an entire turn where you cannot be damaged. So let's say you gain the Shadows token. This means that during your opponent's next offensive roll phase, they can't damage you, meaning you can't be damaged by anything during the next roll offensive phase, meaning you take no damage from an attack. Meaning that they can still affect you with tokens like Entangle, Targeted, or Stun, but during that next offensive roll phase, they cannot deal any damage to you while you have that token. So you basically get an entire free turn to gain CP from Pickpocket, Dagger Strike, or the straights, or try and gain poison as well. Then you also have this card right here, Cardicopia. Best thing to do with this one, let's say you roll 3 5s. So you draw 3 cards from Cardicopia, just sell those. Cardicopia is just made for you to get your cards and then sell them for CP. So you want to try and get your cards and sell them for CP with Cardicopia. So Cardicopia is another way to get CP. But then you have Shadow Dance, and there are 2 ways to get the Shadows token, other than getting your ultimate, obviously. But your ultimate, you deal your 15 as damage plus 5. So let's say you have 15 combat points. You do 15 plus 5 for 20, so you deal 20 ultimate damage with your ultimate if you have max CP, so very damaging stuff. And of course you gain 3 CP before you even get this, so you can be at 12 right here, gain 3 CP with your ultimate, gain Shadows as well so you're immune next turn, and then also deal 20 damage. So yeah, pretty overpowered stuff when it comes to the Shadow Thief. But let's look at the other. So how does the dual defense work? Let's say you're getting targeted with 8 damage from your opponent. So you have to choose one or the other, you can't do both. So either you want to deal damage, you roll 5 and deal 1 per dagger, and on a dagger and a 6 you inflict poison. What is poison? It is a stack limit of 3 and basically means during an upkeep an opponent with this token receives 1 damage during upkeep, and they can have up to 3, so they can deal up to 3 damage during their upkeep, and it's a persistent token, so it stays on the board until it's removed. So it's basically just better burn, but it takes longer to affect because again you have to put up to 3 of these to get that 3 on upkeep. So yeah, and you get poison from either rolling a 6 on dagger strike or both your defensive rolls here. So either defensive, so on shadow defense, if you roll a pair of daggers you inflict poison. On Counter-Strike, if you roll a dagger and a 6, then you inflict poison. So 2 ways to inflict poison, both defenses do it, and it's relatively easy to get poison infected with the defense. This defensive does more damage, raw damage, because you deal up to 5 damage because you can roll all daggers with these 5 dice and deal 5 damage back. Or you can do shadow defense, which you roll 4 dice, but it's a pair thing. So on a pair of daggers you inflict poison. If you roll a 6, then you gain sneak attack, and on a pair of 6s you gain sneak attack and shadows immediately. So basically you just completely get shadows. So basically you can get shadows from the defensive roll, and remember you get to roll the defensive each time you are attacked. So very good defensive to pick. And then obviously there's also sneak attack, which is an attack mod token. Basically you spend this token, you roll 1 dice, and you add that total to your attack. So you add 1 and then you discard sneak attack. So it's just a dice mod that attack modifier, and it modifies your attack. So let's say you do your ultimate, you roll a dice, and you will be dealing 15 plus 5 to 20, and then plus 4 with the sneak attack, so now you're dealing 24 ultimate damage. So yeah, Shadow Thief is a pretty complicated character. Again, you really want to use Cardicopia to sell cards to get CP, use this entire side of the board, left side of the board, to gain CP, and then activate the Straits once you got 15 to start dealing some really sweet damage. Shadow Dance, you do it to get shadows, and that's pretty much it. And then your defenses, you can either choose to deal more damage and inflict poison, or have the chance to inflict poison and get a bunch of attack mods and the quartered shadow token. But again, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, remember to like if you like, dislike if you don't, subscribe down below if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys with the next hero. Toodaloo!